Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. This is Afefe with Touch by Tarot, checking in with you all. I'm going to do a little pick a card for you for the new moon in Libra that's coming up on September 25th. I'm recording this on Sunday, the Sunday prior, so about a week from today, keeping in mind that this new moon in Libra is really going to highlight all those Libran qualities of, relationship dynamics, equality, fairness, how ruled by Venus, right? And in the system of tarot, ruled by the card justice, where you see those scales. So this is really going to be a prime time thinking about new moon, our intentions, our focus, our overall dynamic about here we are, and here's where things are, situations in our lives, but here's where we're trying to go. And we have to set our intentions for that in a Libran way. So if there's, whatever relationship dynamics, and that's what we want to go into for this pick a card, that's what I would recommend we stay, focused on and let the guides really speak to us so we get the most out of this energy. All right, let's go. I'm going to do 3 stacks, you guys. You can pick from one of these crystals. The first stacks, pile number 1, will be this beautiful, it's like a black tourmaline quartz. It's one of those, they call them worry stones, where you pick it up and meditate with it. But black quartz and, black tourmaline and quartz. Pile number 2, it's going to be this opalite, really dreamy opalite. All right, that'll be pile number 2. And then pile number 3, a very beautiful raw rose quartz. Okay, pile number 3, rose quartz. All right, let's see what we got coming up in the area of relationships, how to be mindful about our relationships, staying in balance, all those areas around Venus, beauty, the arts, wanting to be in harmony with others. And if we're dealing with some area of injustice or inequity in our lives, getting some clarity around that. All right, so going in first on our pile number 1, who chose the black tourmaline and quartz. I'm going to spread the cards and then I will interpret them for you. So give me a second. The decks have already been cleansed and shuffled very well before I started taping. Pile number 1, really stay focused on balance and relationships, harmonizing, compromising, negotiating, having things, if they have been, there's been an area of imbalance or unfairness, to have that, righted and balanced out. Okay. All right, you all, I have 2 tarot, 4 oracles, and then of course I'll pull more if necessary, if we feel like we need more clarity on the message. So, interestingly, I'm going to start with your tarot. Interestingly, pile number 1, you got the Tower. Now, the Tower did come reversed. I don't always read reversals, but in this instance, I'm being led to do that. And here's why. It signals that for those of you who chose pile number 1 in your area of relationships and the way that this new moon is coming for you all, it's about examining what needs to be reset, what needs to be released. And I think for you, it's going to be heading off at the pass. What could happen if this had come upright? Because when the Tower comes upright, it indicates there's some sort of, drastic, unavoidable, very often unexpected shift and change that takes place that can kind of really take our breath away for a moment. But because it came reversed, I think the guides are saying there's a part of you that recognizes that this shift needs to occur. And so this new moon is going to have you in that mindset to perhaps avoid what could be a genuine shakeup in a relationship sector. Keeping in mind, this could be your romantic relationships, your intimate relationships, your family, your job, your co-workers, etc., any area of life, and even your relationship to spirit. Any relationship dynamic that if there's a call for change, and clearly there is here, but spirit's saying, you've got that. We want you to take charge of this so that we don't have to step in. You can avoid something that could be really upsetting to you. All right. It came with the Seven of Cups. That's confirmation that for those of you who chose this pile number one, you're definitely undergoing some sort of thought process, some sort of evaluation around relationships in your life right now. And there's a notion that you haven't reached a decision, because when we see a Seven of Cups, there's very often that indication that I could do this, I could do that, maybe this, maybe that, blah, blah, blah. Very Libran, by the way, in that energy, because Libras want that harmony. That energy brings harmony. It wants that compromise. It wants that happy middle ground for everyone. It wants love and everyone to be happy. It wants that win-win situation. So that all those cups coming could be, you've been thinking about it and mulling it over, but it's going to be time to make the decision soon so that you don't wind up having something happen for you. All right. Now, in your oracles, we got work through your fears. So there we have it. That could also indicate why you are, going through taking this time to choose and trying to figure out, what's the best way for me to go or approach my situation with someone, because there is this notion of, fear. And because it comes in Scorpio, we know that that's nothing to play with. The choices that you're faced with could have serious consequences. And there's truth, that you have to face with that. Scorpio is very, very, it deals with the truth. It won't back down from what is real and what really needs to occur. So whatever this is, it's something that within yourself, which is why you've been, thinking it over and all of these options, because it can have consequences. But Spirit is stepping up here to say, pile number one, work through your fears. Granted, it may take you some time to make that choice because there's those consequences, but that's what this new moon energy is about then for you, is working through it, figuring it out and understanding what the best outcome could be, what is fair and equitable to everyone involved, including you, of course. Clear, cancel, and release. You are getting all sorts of confirmation here, pile number one. Clear, cancel, and release. Tower reversed for you, because there is something that you are on the precipice of, something that absolutely just must change in your relationship sector. Again, you know better than I what area of life that is, but clearly there is something, you are right on the precipice of something having to shift. And this is not a minor shift, this is a pretty major shift. So if, for instance, you're thinking of a new job, or even in a positive sense, new job is positive, but I mean, it would indicate that maybe you're not happy where you are. That's what I meant by that. But even a promotion where you'd have to take on additional responsibilities or perhaps manage others. Anything where you have to give something up, move something away from something in order to place yourself in a better position to get what's coming for you. That's what this is speaking to. Honor your feelings. Wow. So a clue for you all from Spirit and your guides in terms of making the best decision and choice of all of the options before you is put yourself first. Honor your own truth. We were talking about truth as a part of Scorpio energy, right? Honor your truth. Make the decision that is not so much, sometimes when we get into Libra, there can be some people pleasing, right? Because the idea is just want everyone to be happy, want harmony, need harmony, don't do conflict, don't want drama. And as a result, sometimes there can be a tendency to give up what is most important to you, in the effort of making sure everybody else is taken care of. And here there's like, honor yourself. Pay attention, really, putting your feelings in first place and saying, here's how I want this to feel. Here's what is important to me. I'm willing to be fair to others by all means, but I've got to think about it from my stance first, self first. And finally, we got the earth element, stability. That is, I love this coming as your final card, pile number 1, because it says that in honoring your feelings and in deciding what this choice is going to be, whatever shift that needs to occur, clear, canceling, and releasing something in your relationship sector, it's going to help stabilize you. This is what you want. You want that grounding. You want that security. This is, negating the chances for any kind of unbelievable upheaval. This takes care of that. And this is what Spirit is saying to you all, is they want you to reach a decision thinking about what will ground you, what will keep you stable. If it is going back to the notion of a job change or promotion or shift, maybe you are in business for yourself, making smart choices and decisions so that you can avoid any disruption in your income, in your clientele, in your growth. If this is something personal, same principle applies. It is making the decision that's going to ground you and keep that relationship stable. Keep you stable within the context of that relationship. All right, pile number 1. You got your work cut out for you, but I see a tremendous amount of spiritual support here for you. I'm feeling the need. I'm going to pull one more card as a message for you and how to go about this, how to go, what the guides are saying, your best route to make that decision so that you can feel like you're going to be stable and avoid anything that just feels too overwhelming with that Tower. It says here, make it God's. Release the idea of my. As soon as you start to say the money, the relationship, the job, freedom arrives. When there's no grasping, the right actions get shown. Free me from the prison of my, dear Lord. So this is, and whatever this is, of course, what is the name of this deck? It is a deck that deals with spirituality, everyday miracles. But whatever your practice, the idea is the divine. And the idea is dealing with taking those issues of focusing on the money, the person, the thing, and dealing with that truth that we saw. That is what is being offered to you, is understanding that the divine, the highest source, self, higher self even, is willing to step in this situation and help you separate, cancel, release, separate the thing from the higher cause, the higher purpose, what really establishes that harmony and that balance. All right? All right. So moving on to pile number 2. Those of you who chose the opalite. All right, let's see what comes for you all for this new moon in Libra. What is the energy that pile number 2 needs to be aware of in the area, in the sector of relationships, all areas of that, so that they can move forward in this new moon energy, have focus, have clarity, and a sense of purpose. I'm going to pull all the cards before I interpret. All right. This is coming out really interesting. You're going to love it. Ooh, everything wants to come out here. Let's put it back. Ooh, I can't wait. Can't wait to get into this for pile number 2. Wow. Okay. Going to start out with your tarot cards first. You have Temperance with the Nine of Swords. Spirit is saying, Temperance, talk about relationships and Libran energy, although Temperance is ruled by Sagittarius, but in a very spiritual context. So for you all who chose this pile number 2, the opalite, your focus, and what Spirit is saying is keep your focus in the context of your relationships. Approach them from a spiritual standpoint. Approach them from the big picture, from the higher cause. Don't get caught up in the day-to-day minutia. Don't let yourself be swayed by some of the more, day-to-day petty, he said, she said, they said, I don't like the way they said this to me. Really try to rise above that, because Temperance is an incredible energy of healing, and it is an energy where fire and ice, water and oil. It's an energy where, especially when we're talking about relationships, there can be polarity. There can be, one person, you think things one way, another person thinks about things another way. Your methods for going at a relationship dynamic could be very different from someone else. So Temperance comes to offer that healing energy, that patience, that middle ground, that how can I compromise, very Libran in essence. How can I compromise? Because if you don't, with that Nine of Swords energy, there's worry that comes. There's tension, there's conflict, there's the what's the word that I'm trying to say? Diminish. Where the power of the relationship, the power of the job, the power of the career, the power of your business, the power of your self-growth can be diminished because of a lack of seeing the bigger picture and approaching your relationships from a spiritual perspective. All right? Now, friendship and union. There we have it. Confirmation. Different decks I'm using. That's my method. For those of you who've been with me, I like to mix it up because that's how I see the connections being built, and I know that it's Spirit speaking. So this is about your area of friendship and union. For those of you who chose pile number 2, this opalite, I'm going to go ahead and take a step here and say, I don't think for you, your relationship issues or what Spirit is asking you to concentrate on and be mindful of in this new moon in Libra, it's not even about your job. It's not even about, unless you have friendships that you formed on your job. But this for you all is more personal. This is about your deeper unions, your more lasting unions, things that, people who really matter to you, whose opinions really matter to you, the dynamic that you have with them really matters to you. If it's romantic, that speaks for itself. If it is the self, and you've been really working on your spiritual growth, this is it. That friendship and union that you have to establish with Spirit. All right, very Sagittarian. Philosophically, looking at the big picture. How do you grow in that union, in that friendship? That is what this new moon in Libra is speaking to for you. You want more confirmation? Here it comes. We have the sun coming in the realm of Spirit. Pile number 2, hands down, this energy at this time for you all in this new moon in Libra is about your spiritual growth, your spiritual development in relationship to others. It is important for you right now to connect with others that vibe with you on a higher level, who get you on a higher level, who can help appreciate and grow your soul, that together, you grow in union. Very, very important. If this is on the romantic front, it's got to be, if you and your partner, if it's a new relationship, that has to be talked about. Where are you spiritually? What are your desires, your belief? What path are you on? Very important for you, pile number 2. And if you're in an existing relationship and maybe there needs to be, some rebalancing, some recalibrating, here is how you'll get through it. It's not so much about me, or you. It's about bringing together both of those things from a higher standpoint. speaking to the divine in one another, speaking to the soul of one another, rather than, did you do the dishes, and, why is this dirty? The stuff that we go through day to day. That's not what this new moon is about for you. It says here you're very close to achieving your goal. And I'm going to pull this with a different deck. It says be real. There is, in this friendship and union for pile number 2, there's some conversations that need to be had. And I think you're going to be open to them, and I think whoever it is that you're approaching is going to be open to them. And the key is be real, because whoever this is and whatever this dynamic is in this friendship and union, they appreciate whatever, even if it's a tough conversation, even if it's something, or something delightful, that as long as it's real, as long as it's not so woo-woo that they can't connect to it. Because you're very close to achieving your goal. If this is something, if you needed reassurance, how they say, if you were looking for a sign, this is it. This is your sign. If you needed reassurance about proceeding in a relationship dynamic, and if this person or this situation is going to be, worth your energy, worth your time, worth the effort. Is it worthwhile for you to really buckle down and establish that harmony and that balance, to open your heart and to love? Hands down, the answer for you all is yes. Be real, because you're very close to achieving that goal, and Spirit is who oversees this union. Keep that in mind. One more card for pile number 2. That opalite, one more card. Advice for how to best keep Spirit involved. And know that is who, for you in that relationship, when you step back and say, there's you, there's me, and there's the higher purpose. Keep your eye on that higher purpose. That higher purpose is what will bond the two of you, and that you can relate to. It says mistakes. Allow me to know it's okay to make mistakes. Let me always take care of the inner child so that he feels loved no matter what. I get it. Spirit is saying, if there have been mistakes made in the past in connection with this relationship, or one that you are trying to build, or even one that you are trying to envision for yourself, if you're trying to call something in, and it could be mistakes that have been made in the past that have you sort of, stepping back. You're very close to achieving your goal, so you've been working on it very clearly. But what Spirit wants you to know is, don't get hung up on being afraid to make a mistake, or focusing on the mistakes from the past, and then it makes you sort of doubt yourself. I think that's also why you got that be real. Because sometimes when we feel we have made mistakes, or mistakes have been made because we trusted someone who didn't deserve our trust, or we invested too much of ourselves in something that didn't work out, right? Mistakes, they happen. But be real is reinforcing the notion that you deserve what it was that you were after all along. You deserve it. So don't get hung up on this. And Spirit is giving this as a reminder to say, we recognize that's life. None of us gets through life without making mistakes. It's how we learn. It's how we grow. And I think this is actually Spirit saying to you, there is a recognition of that. So don't let it hold you back. Go forward, and keep in mind, you are very close to achieving your goal, and it is Spirit that will take you there. All right? Very, very powerful message for you, pile number 2. And clearly you have done a lot of work in that realm. I do think this is very, very intimate for you. It matters. The stakes are high for you, and so it matters, and Spirit recognizes that. All right? Moving on to pile number 3, those of you who chose the rose quartz. Take a sip of water real quick. Or Gatorade, I should say. All right, let's see. For pile number 3, Spirit, those who chose the rose quartz, this new moon in Libra, in the sector of relationships, all aspects of relationships. What should they be aware of? What do they need to know? What do they need to know? Pile number 3 chose the rose quartz, the new moon in Libra. What do they need to know? Wow, this is going to be powerful. They all are. This is, what we do is. Got it. One more, please. Okay. For those of you who chose the rose quartz, pile number 3, I'll start with your tarot first. You have the 8 of Cups and the Knight of Swords. In the context of Libra, Venus, and balancing your relationships, what needs to be balanced. Ooh, I'm under this light. I can see a little moisture going on there. Ooh, sorry about that, you guys. You are undergoing either conversations with others or deep inner conversations with yourself around how to move forward. There is something that you've undergone that has contributed to your emotional growth. 8 of Cups is very much a card of moving on because you recognize there are certain lessons that have been learned and you don't have to return to those. It really is a card of moving on. It's a heavier energy in the sense that a lot happened to get you to that point emotionally. There's a lot that you went through to get you to the point of being ready to move on, to say, I've learned my lessons and I'm ready to move on. And so there's this clarity that's being presented with this Knight of Swords that allows you to do that with confidence, to do it, going from the realm of cups, emotions, to the realm of that mental clarity with air, swords. It's saying, I've adapted to these lessons. I've processed these lessons, and now I'm willing to take them with me and move forward. This is really powerful to come with it, different deck. With that, keeping in mind that 8 of Cups and moving forward from something emotionally, there's releasing that control, because that is part of what you had to do. Those of you who chose pile number 3, if this was a relationship where you were trying to control the outcome and perhaps the other person's actions were not allowing you to do that, whether this was in the workplace or a personal situation, you recognize, hey, there's only so much within my control that I can do here. And so there's a level that you reached of saying, I am ready to move on. I have to do it. It's a practical measure for me at this point with that Knight of Swords, right? It starts to click, this is what I have to do. And you're doing it because you recognize I have to release control. Why? Nothing will come of this situation. Talk about, 2 entirely different decks. Talk about messages being confirmed from spirit. Nothing will come of this situation. Why wouldn't you continue to move forward? No regrets. This is really a powerful card of having learned something. This is emotional intelligence. 8s are a level of mastery within tarot. Or in general. So having, recognizing nothing will come of this situation. So I got to release control. I can only do me. And that in terms of Libra, Libra wants that win-win. Libra wants that union, wants that harmonious result. But I think what Spirit is saying to you here is keeping in mind, here's another card. Let me go ahead and show it to you. Yes, I think what Spirit is saying, yes, is it is time for you to move on from something, recognizing that saying yes to yourself is not necessarily saying no to your relationships. It's saying yes to understanding I have to operate in a way that makes sense for my betterment. And in doing that, I will make myself better in the context of being prepared to have relationships. Again, whatever level, whatever area of life that really speaks to you right now, whether it is your home life, your family life, your career, even relationship to self and spirit. But saying yes to yourself, and spirit is saying yes to you, pile number 3. That yes, it was time, or it is time for you to move on. That 8 of Cups being very prevalent. It is time for you to move on from something because you have learned the lesson. There's nothing else. Nothing will come of this situation. There's nothing else for you to glean from it. You have learned the lesson. And releasing control is saying basically don't look back. Don't think that you have to go back and fix something in order to move forward, because there's already that knowledge that you have within that's telling you. You've already gotten the clarity. Whether you've acted on it yet or not, that's another question. But you've received the clarity that says, I've done all I can do here. There's certain aspects of this. Nothing's going to come of this situation if I continue to go at it this way. And so I'm prepared to move on. I've learned the lesson. I'm prepared to move on. And get ready. I saved this card for the last. The moon soul. New moon in Libra. The lessons that you learned in having to release control, which actually taught you something. You gained a lot of intelligence. You gained, your soul gained from this. Don't look at it as a loss. Don't look at it. Don't focus on the challenging aspects of it. Acknowledge them for sure. But it wasn't meant to drag you through it. You know what I mean? It was not meant for that purpose. It was meant to grow your soul and glean more intelligence. Knight of Swords, more intelligence so that you could move. Knights are movement. Knights are movement. This 8 of Cups is about moving forward. Your soul said yes. Move forward because you learned the lesson. You learned that nothing was going to come of the situation if you continue to try and have control over it. All right? Let me pull. That is such a powerful lesson. So going back to the overarching reason for this reading, in the context of a new moon in Libra, new moon, new intentions, new ideas, new thoughts. How can you take what you have learned? Pile number 3, the rose quartz. How can you take those lessons that you have learned and apply them in the context of the relationships that you are now seeking or are beginning to form or adjusting in? How do you take those lessons, even if it's an existing relationship, friendship, family member? How do you take the lessons that have been learned, the idea that you had to release the control so that you could continue to move on and maintain your own equilibrium? How does your soul speak to you in this moment, at this time, in this new moon in Libra, and say, you got that. Now, how do you incorporate all of that moving forward? It came up hardship. It's sort of in the reverse. I get it. May I embrace what's happening right now, as baffling and painful as it is. Help me to trust where I'm being guided. I'm yours. Speaking to the higher source, higher power. This speaks to that. You had to release. Nothing will come of this situation. You had to release the hardship in order to move forward, in order to say yes. What a dynamic, contrast this is, because Spirit is acknowledging the key to you getting past the hardship in whatever area, however that presented itself to you, was by recognizing your divinity, the divinity of your soul. You may have had to go through a little self-preservation, pile number 3. You may have really had to struggle. And that is a Libran situation where sometimes, again, people pleasing or the idea that harmony matters so much that there can be some self-sacrifice. And if that is what caused the hardship in the past for pile number 3, then you learned the lesson from that. You learned the lesson from that. And it may not have tickled your funny bone, but it served its purpose for elevating your soul and strengthening your soul. So that as you prepare for this next new moon and set those intentions for what kinds of relationships really do benefit you, the hardship was not meant to punish you, it was meant to boost you, it was meant to grow you. And there's a part of you now, I think, that recognizes that. Or if you don't, then that is why that Knight of Swords is here for you. It's saying, incorporate that. Recognize that what it did was it made you, rather than add any damages to your soul, it made you a smarter, more intelligent, wiser soul so that you can use those lessons to move forward. All right? That's it, you all. Please give me your feedback. I'd love to hear from you, and make the most of this energy. There was some very powerful. Some of you may even want to go and see more than one of these, so or replay it because there was a lot of information that came through. I'd love your feedback. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.